right, Cody. Amazing
Oh,
job on Notorious Nick, man. Actually, I was just talking to one of your producers, Marcus S. Allen, today in a junket.
yes.
So small world, man, but
How's how's
phenomenal.
how's Mark, man? How's he doing?
He's doing good. He's doing well. He's doing well. But
All right.
look, I absolutely love this film. I'm a big fan of sports movies myself, but I wasn't informed on Nick Newell at all, really. So
Yeah.
can you talk to me about playing Nick and kind of like what it takes about playing somebody that's a real person, essentially?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the most captivating part about this story, right? Is that most to the most general public, it's unknown.
Right.
And even when you hear it, right, when it's put out in front of you, or you see the film, you see the trailer, there's a part of you that almost goes, "Nah, I don't believe that." But yeah, man, that's what made this story so badass, inspirational. The fact that it is a new or a true story, and Nick Newell is an actual fighter. I think the process for me was just meticulous attention to detail,
Right.
anything and everything that I could soak up, any and all information. Down to the nuances, fighting style, pre-ritual, and like what the fights, the way he moves, the way he kind of, takes on his opponent, preps for the opponent, just the mental aspect of that. Also the arm is a huge thing. So, just a lot of work, man. The willingness to dive deep into the story, and I know that when I had this opportunity in front of me, I had to do it, man.
Well, you know what? One thing I love about Nick is that he turns his handicap into an advantage, and
Hmm.
he really starts figuring out ways in the fight game how to make it become an advantage. So, can you talk to me about meeting Nick in real life and kind of like the preparation that he goes through a fight, and some of what you picked up on using that in the film?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually never got the chance to meet Nick
Oh,
in person.
really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm hoping I do. I'm hoping at some point the world clears up, it's safe to do so. I know that he was busy doing some stuff, prepping for fights. So I relied very, very heavily on information on the internet, all of the footage of his films, and then the producers. Actually, Mark S. Allen. He spent a lot of time with Nick back in Connecticut. So any information, I kind of went to these guys just so I could bring that level of truth and authenticity to everything that he's doing.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk about Nick and Abby's friendship because it starts off very early on, and they bond kind of over their love of pro wrestling. And he
Yeah.
almost becomes like a protector of Nick in a way. Can you
Mhm.
talk to me about how we see their relationship progress throughout the film?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it just builds and builds. I think the relationship with Abby from the very, very beginning is new to Nick because it's the first time that he hasn't been judged through someone else's perspective. Abby
Sure.
sees him as Nick, you know what I mean? He doesn't view him as a disability or a handicap. So I think right away that's kind of what forms their bond, and then the shared love for wrestling solidifies it in a way. I think later on in the story, post high school, post wrestling, the two kind of reunite. And Abby, second time around, comes back as a saving grace and gives Nick something, that he wants to pursue, reignites a passion inside of him. So, the bond that they have, it kind of just solidifies itself as time progresses, which makes the heartache and, the reveal of what happens, you feel it much, much more. So,
I did not see that coming either. Oh man,
yeah,
that was heart wrenching to say the least. But I
yeah.
want to talk about somebody else that's a key figure in Nick's life, and that's his mother. And
Mhm.
a part of it, I mean, there's a great dedication to his mom at the end of the film as well. But
Yep.
I want to talk about their relationship and how much sacrifice went into that, because there's even that chance, or I don't want to say it's so much chance meeting, but he meets Jim Abbott as well to give him a little bit of inspiration. But can you talk about Nick's relationship with his mom in the film?
I mean, it's very, very tight. She's kind of the one that looks out for him, protects him, but also in a way, countless times, even throughout the film, encourages him to be more, not to settle, to not let this thing that he was born with get in his way. Just outside forces of the world, different perspectives. These people are putting perceived limitations on him. So, as much as there is this love and security and a tight bond between Nick and his mother, what's also happening is she's grooming him to be the man that she knows he can be. And I think there's an amazing line that Elizabeth delivers in the film, in front of the panel of judges. But
Oh
she
yes.
talks, yeah, she talks about, I have to see that he's no longer my little boy with a disability, but a man that has overcome it. And I think that line in general, a perfect exemplification of their relationship.
Now, Barry Livingston plays your high school coach, Jeremy. What did he bring to the role of your coach that wasn't on the page? Because he's also, and we'll talk about a little bit of their story in a second, but what did he bring to the role that wasn't on the page?
I mean, this dude's a veteran, you know what I mean? Like he's been in this industry longer than I've been alive, and I say that with the utmost respect, you know.
Sure.
So right away, as soon as I met Barry, the one of the very first things we did is we sat down and we talked about the entire script, just the amount of passion that he was able to bring into the project. You know, we were cooped up in a small hotel in a little remote town out of Sacramento. And the very first time I met him, he said, "Hey, you know, anytime you want to like prep this, anytime you want to discuss it, let's sit out here at the pool courtyard in this hotel late at night, freezing, and just kind of talk about the script and dive into it." So just his willingness to kind of show up and participate, you know, and again, the passion that he put into it, man, I think it turned out phenomenally.
So Coach Jeremy actually feels almost a lot like a father figure to Nick in a lot of ways. And
Sure.
can you talk about their relationship a little bit and kind of the fallout that happens between that high school era and then when he gets into the fight game, the MMA fight game?
Yeah, yeah, very similarly, right? The relationship that Nick has with his mother, he kind of develops very quickly with his coach. You know, seeing the heart and the will and determination that that kid is bringing, the coach is, you know, adamant about making sure that he also doesn't buy into his own limitations, right? Because he sees great things, potential, you know, and that's something that necessarily can't be bought, you know, determination, will,
Right.
heart. He even says this, you know, in the bar scene, right? He said like that's something that you can't, you either have it or you don't. So I think he saw that very early on and was encouraging Nick to go in the right direction. Hardship after hardship at that age, you know, he decides to call it quits, and we actually bring it back up in the film, right? The relationship is strained because Nick knows the coach believes in him and he doesn't want to let him down, but it gets the best of him. And he even brings it up later on, right? Like, I quit on you. And coach is like, you didn't quit on me. What I was trying to teach you is you quit on yourself.
Right.
You know, so after the first fight, he loses. The coach kind of circles back in. I think it's such a great scene when Nick goes to him to prep for the fight.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, I don't do that.
I love that scene. Just where he's like, you know, I don't teach quitters. I don't waste my time on quitters. I love
Exactly.
that scene, that bond that the two have.
Exactly. Which in a way is a catalyst for Nick to kind of go out there and do his thing once again, show like, hey, you know, times have changed. No matter what the adversity, I'm gonna pursue it and overcome it. You know, and I think the coach sees that, and that's what kind of starts their journey of like, all right, hey, if you wanna do it, let's do it. And his classic line in that scene is like, I don't know shit about
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
So like,
I was just
yeah,
gonna say that. I love that line where it's like, listen, I don't know shit about MMA, but we'll learn together. I
yeah.
love that because
Yo,
it really does. Yeah, go
that
ahead.
bar scene, just like a little side note on that, and I love telling the story, but a week before we even shot it, Barry and I were kind of just walking around the town. We went to the location, we went to the bar, and you know, just discussed the scene, spoke about the characters, where they were at that certain time, sat down, had a few beers at the bar, just really kind of, you know, immersed ourselves in the environment. And that's the type of stuff I'm talking about, you know, like on screen, he was amazing, but even off screen, you know, to put that type of time
Right.
and energy into it, you know, it makes a difference for sure.
Absolutely, because you can see that chemistry that you guys developed off screen, on screen, which is great.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk. I mean, like, this is an MMA movie, and
Mm.
and I'm sure there's a lot of training that goes into this. So, can you just talk about the training, just getting everything right, making it look right? Because you did a really good job of making it seem like you knew a lot of MMA.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I came into it not being too ignorant of the sport, you know what I mean? I dabbled in it. I had trained a little bit earlier on, trained jujitsu for like 4 or 5 years,
Oh
absolutely
wow,
loved it. Yeah, man. So, you know, and I watch fights, I'm familiar with it, you know what I mean? And a lot of my friends are actually fighters. One of my really good friends, Dylan Sprayberry, who I worked with on Teen Wolf, he was the first person I called actually, because at that time he was training very, very heavily in Muay Thai. And I called him and said, hey, like I got this film coming up and I think it's a go. Because at this point I still hadn't booked it officially. But just to get started, I said, hey man, like, can we kind of go through all the basics, just stance and hip movement, all that kind of stuff with these kicks? So he was the first person that I trained with. And then after that, as the film got closer, my stunt double Corey DeMyers, he's an incredible mixed martial artist. He knows a bunch of the good guys that he like works with or trained fighters, and we just started immediately, man. The second we got up there, it's like a week and a half every day, 8+ hours of just rehearsals and going through the motions and talking about the details, the little things. This
Right.
is such a deeply rooted community, and it's so centralized around like a respect for the art form of mixed martial arts. So to me, not doing it justice and including the authenticity, the absolute best I could would have been disrespectful.
And
And I
well,
didn't want, sorry, I didn't want a pro
oh, no,
fighter,
no, go ahead.
anyone that fights, right, to look at it and be like, I don't believe that. Like that would never happen. Down to the littlest things. We shot a scene with Eve Edwards, right? Like MMA guy. And on the submission, it was the first fight that Nick had.
Uh-huh.
On the submission, when he gets choked out, Eve and I discussed like, hey, when you get choked out, there's like little body twitches that happen when you go unconscious, when you go under. Just those little things, just those tiny details that I think most people would miss. But if
Sure.
you are well versed, you'd see it and be like, oh wow, it's cool that they thought of it.
Right. Well,
So
and a lot of this too, you essentially have to do with one arm. So can you talk about just that challenge as well?
yeah, again, as soon as I got word that I was even auditioning for this, the first thing I started doing after my research was eliminating the use of my left arm.
Really?
So
Wow.
before I even got up to film the movie, I used to like put on hoodies, and I would it's kind of weird, but I would bring my elbow like all the way here, kind of
Right.
like where the position would be, and then I would tie this off in a knot, and I would just kind of go throughout the day and
Wow.
try to do certain things. A lot of people don't understand how much we utilize
Right.
both hands. The simplest things: getting a glass of orange juice out of the fridge, brushing your teeth, tying your shoes. All these little things are just they're just done differently. And that was a very interesting mentality to kind of explore, that people that are born with congenital amputations or have similar disabilities and being born with it, to them it's just a part of them. You know what
Sure.
I mean? They don't know anything else. So a lot of these things to them are just that it's normal. They just have to do things a little different from everybody else, but they're still more than capable of doing everything, clearly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I got to ask, because you also work with another film legend, Kevin Pollak, in this film. He
Yeah,
plays the MMA coach. Can you
yeah.
talk to me about working with him and just kind of like, look, that guy's another legend that you're
Yeah,
working with.
man, he's amazing. He's amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little intimidated when he came to set, because we had already been filming the movie for, I'd say, like 2-3 weeks, and they flew him in because we got to the part where everything was, we're gonna shoot at the gym, with Kevin. And yeah, man, this dude, as soon as he walks in, he's just charismatic. He's like the guy. He's been doing this forever.
Right.
He was in his comfort zone. And working with him was amazing, because when you work with somebody that refined and at that level with that much experience, um, you either sink or swim. They're setting the precedent. So to work with Kevin and to do these scenes with him, I had to step right up. It was a blast, and I hope it's not the last time.
Seriously. But last question I have for you is that, look, there's a lot of sports movies out there, but one thing I love about certain sports movies is that the ones that you can get inspiration from. And this is definitely one of those films. What are you hoping people take away from the story of Nick Newell?
I mean, that exactly what you just said. You have a guy that made a decision, and I think the power of this right here is we still can't even fathom. Right?
Right.
Decision is the most powerful thing that you can make. And when you make that decision of I am going to be this, not I would like to be, or it would be nice to, like, when you decide this is what I'm going to do, it's really anything becomes possible. Any obstacle, if this is right and this is right, then like you can achieve pretty much anything. And I think Nick's story is exactly that. You have a guy with everything kind of faced against him, but yet his passion brings him to his dreams in a career that everybody said, you're absolutely crazy, you can't do
Right.
this. His journey kind of just shows you, if you want something, go get it. And I hope this film can act as an inspiration to people, that have either done it in the past, or maybe they are currently in their journey of trying to achieve whatever dream it is that they want. And I hope it acts, as you said, an inspiration, man.
I mean, look,
Listen, I love the movie. It was
me too.
to film it, and I think sitting down and having watched it, and it's been a while since I was in front of the camera, and now watching it as a true like spectator. It's a great film, man.
It
I
is.
I love it.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually surprised how much I did love it because the MMA's solid in it, the story's solid in it, and your acting's great in it. Like it has everything. And honestly, I really love the friendship between Abby and Nick. Like I think that that's one of the most beautiful parts of the film as well. But it's all there, man. It's such an inspirational story, man. And you're great in it. So thank
I
you for
really
your time. I
appreciate
appreciate it, Cody.